Well, welcome everybody, and thank you for joining us for our podcast today. This is the third in a series of three, all themed around exiting and selling your business. I'm Stuart Mullins. I'm a corporate partner at Clarkslegal, and I'm joined today by Nicky Larkin of Succession Planning. Hello, Nicky.
Good afternoon, Stuart. Thank you for inviting me.
Our pleasure. Our pleasure. As I say, this is the third in a series of third in a series of three podcasts that we have put together, all themed around business exit and business succession. This one is going to focus on around those sectors that we're seeing is very popular, given that we're now, would you believe it, almost month 5 into 2025, and based on the deals that Nicky and I have looked at and worked on in the last 12 months or so, and those that may struggle to attract exit through the conventional sense, and we'll give our views as to why and how we think you're best positioned to present your business should you be in a sector like that. All as ever is not lost. So Nicky, let's start with the positive sectors. It's been a busy 12 months, I know, for Succession planning, just on the deals we've worked with you.
Indeed. So I would say the most popular deals that we're seeing are the continual consolidation in professional services. We've primarily seen a lot in accountancy, tax service type businesses, but there's also starting to be at the higher end a lot more consolidation in legal firms and things as well. So there's a huge amount of consolidation, a lot of investment, a lot of private equity there, and also a lot of funders are happy to fund those deals because they can understand them quite well. So I would say that's probably the top one that we see as popular and easy. The second is anything technology. There's a huge amount of investors that are primarily, well, only, in fact, solely looking at technology deals. So whether it's the latest software, or the some sort of AI adaptation, or even if it's in the more basic services of MSP or cloud services, there's still a lot of growth forecast there, and so a lot of interest. Then the third area that I see again is more about consolidation of people type businesses, because it is very expensive on the people type businesses. And I'm talking about the lower margin ones. So that might be facilities management, security, even perhaps cleaning. But this is sort of for the corporate end where it's outsourced. So you can't offshore it. You can't offshore your cleaning or your facilities management. It's still got to be done on site in the UK. So I've seen a lot there where there's some big money there that they're really working on economies of scale and wanting to grow there. There's some other sort of more mid areas, but I would say those are the three ones that I see predominantly have a lot of activity.
Yeah, thank you, Nicky. And one of the things it's worth pointing out that given our geographical presence within the UK, professional services and tech is a large contributor to the local economy here in Reading and the surrounding area of the Thames Valley. And I think that bears a factor on the work that certainly I and my team tend to see. But yes, I would agree. I think professional services is very very buoyant. I would also agree that tech, spin outs are also very very prevalent in deal structures, and as well as those that require a skilled or semi-skilled workforce. I think employers and businesses are finding it increasingly difficult to recruit good people, and therefore this is a great opportunity for uh, for businesses to acquire a skilled workforce um, by taking over an established business with also a core client list, because often those clients are inextricably linked to those key people. You did mention a buzzword as you were going through your list, Nicky: private equity. A shameless plug: if you would like to learn more about private equity, in our second podcast, we do we do talk about PE and give a little bit of a summary and an overview of where we see those sorts of facilities and routes to exit being popular. So please do have a listen to that if you'd like to learn more about private equity. And then I suppose those sectors that are finding it difficult to attract acquisition by trade sale or consolidation, Nicky. Where are you sort of seeing maybe not so much a drop off, but perhaps a little bit more caution around valuation, or um, caution around or selectiveness for acquisition?
Yeah, I'd say if I were going to go for three sectors again, I would say uh, the the smaller businesses that are people heavy, so care homes, domestic caring agencies, because they're really struggling with their margins now. Some are even going out of business because they can't follow through on their local government contracts. So it's very difficult. If they were of a certain size, they still may be able to be gobbled up, but it really depends on the robustness of their contracts that they've got, which we referred to, I think, in our first podcast about contracts of this series.
Right.
So that's very difficult, a difficult area. Um, then the second, which is again is quite people heavy, but hospitality and retail. I do lump them deliberately together because there are so many similarities. The people heavy, they've got premises as well. So you've not only got to worry about national minimum wage, you've also got to worry about business rates, etc., energy costs. None of those things are giving you a warm, fuzzy feeling when you say those things. The moment you're just thinking more and more cost. So they're very difficult. Now, contrary though, on the higher end, there is still a lot of activity with innovation, where if somebody's putting together, a chain of things, but that's more because they're really capitalizing upon brands and the goodwill and perhaps the franchise models when they're doing that. But when you're talking about, 1, 2, 3 premises on their own, it's really like there's not much market there at all. The third is the ones that are just at the end of their life cycle businesses. So those are things like print, anything that's being completely replaced with new technology, etc. They're very, very tricky. So, with all of these businesses, some of them, even if you were trying to sell them just on their balance sheet, sometimes you would still struggle to find a buyer in those. So they're very tricky businesses to sell at the moment of those three areas.
I think that's a very important point, Nicky. Um, w- in the interest of full disclosure, Nicky and I deliver a load of seminars and webinars on business exits and succession, and certainly in one of those seminars, you have a very useful graph that talks about the importance of timing for a business looking to exit, not just in terms of when the founders should be looking to plan its ultimate transition of ownership, but at what point the business is ripe, if you like, for disposal. And I think it's an important point that no matter what type, sector, nature that your business is, if you hold on to it for too long, there is a very, very real risk that you will miss that sweet spot for maximising value. And I think that's a very important.
Yeah,
Mm.
absolutely. I think that's a very important thing. If you think about, every business does have a life cycle. Some of them are shorter or longer than others. But, I always think, which would I rather have? Be upset that I managed to do an exit and perhaps I still left a bit of money on the table, or let it peak too soon and you got to the point that is declining and you don't manage to get an exit at all. I'm pretty sure I'd rather be in the first position than in the second. And unfortunately, there's some people that just keep on thinking, oh no, it's okay, next year will be better. Or, they just keep thinking, oh, the market will come back at some point. And, unfortunately, as I'm getting older and older, I'm seeing more and more people make that sort of mistake and then end up not being able to get an exit at all, which is sad. Let's find something to end on a positive point though, Stuart.
Well, I think all our discussions are positive. The sun is certainly shining today, so that's that is wonderful. Um, I think to conclude then, you can never start too early in critically evaluating your businesses, and those that do try and look objectively at the business with a view to sale are those that ultimately A, maximising value, and B, are more likely to get the deal done without hiccup between signing heads of terms and signing a sale and purchase agreement. And again, that's another reference back to one of our earlier podcasts where we explain reasons as to why somewhere along that transaction line businesses may trip up.
The best time to plan your exit is when you start your business. You should be thinking about it from the beginning. So, and if you haven't started thinking, well, today is as good day as any to start planning.
And I would add that should anyone want some help in knowing where to start, all journeys start with one step, and you couldn't do worse than pick up the phone to Nicky, be delighted to have a chat and kickstart that journey for you. So
you get contact us at Succession Planning. We're always delighted to have a conversation.
fantastic. Well, thank you all. Thank you again for listening, especially those that have listened to all three. I hope you found them useful. If you do want to reach out with any questions or queries, or would like a conversation generally, we'd be delighted to hear from you. Until next time, Nicky, thank you very much for joining us, and look forward to seeing you soon.
Pleasure. Thank you, Stuart. Enjoy the sunshine.
Thank you, Angie.